Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I am your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelists Bradley Ellis.
Hello.
Ben Moore.
What up?
My rather tall co-moderator, Mr. Daniel Ludworth.
Hello.
And making it all happen by starting the Zoom call in Slack, Ian Hank.
Hi.
Thank you, Ian.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We are here to discuss some of the biggest headlines in video games this week, but before we do that, we must atone for all of our mistakes in last week's podcast. Ian, please begin corrections music.
Boop.
You turned your green screen off.
Oh yeah, my non-existent green screen is off now.
It's all fake. I don't believe it. Any of it. The Unreal 5 demo would have been playable at GDC had there been one. Which was not, I think somebody might have said that in the comments, but we also just found that out. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker for Switch was announced on March 8th, 2018, and came out in July 13th, 2018, making it 4 and 5 days, months between announcement and release. So wait, 4 months and 5 days, I'm guessing it is.
Pretty good. That's like what we said.
Something close to it, yeah. Maybe that was just a clarification. Mortal Kombat Armageddon was the one with the kart racing. That was from a game. And Blood, I think we said this, but I forgot it. Is it Tsushima or
Tsushima?
Or Tsushima?
Sushi.
I think it's Tsushima, right?
Tsushima, but it's. I think the
Or
weird
just
thing is
Tsushima.
Japanese theoretically doesn't have accents,
Right.
so that all the syllables are even. But
So I
it's Tsushima.
So I can do whatever I want is basically what you're saying. That's basically
Kinda.
you're like you have a little bit of freedom there. We're not going to get in trouble. Please end corrections music. Nice.
Boop.
Let's play gaming Gladiators. Everybody knows what it is. I can just jump into it. So yeah, for those listeners that don't know, we want video game characters to fight to the death. We're going to do it for our own entertainment, much like we send them to their death anyway, you know. And even if they die, they'll come back. You have to fight another day.
Wait. You guys die in video games?
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, I forgot we got Ben. I forgot we got Ben and Brad.
You can do that.
So yeah, we're gonna throw some people into the ring. These are suggested by our $5 and above patrons on patreon.com/easyallies. And I have two sets for you this week. From Corrigal, we got Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn and Talion from Shadows of Mordor and Shadows of War. Just Shadow. Just the one Shadow. It's not plurals of Shadow, I don't think. Aloy versus Talion. And I like it because Aloy has got a lot of I think more ranged. Like, Talion loves to teleport, but Talion's got a lot of magic going on. And this would be after 2 games as opposed to Aloy just having 1.
Yeah, Talion has like a wraith with him that could kill her pretty much on his own, I guess.
He's kind of already dead.
Yeah.
But
Almost Talion.
What if I just like Aloy better? Is that a valid reason?
Yeah. Is it okay?
Sure.
I want to bet on Talion, but root for Aloy. You know, like, I'll be in the stands, like, woo! And then if she gets taken out, like, well,
Hey,
you know.
Everyone's like,
Talion's okay, all right?
It's
He's
somebody.
okay.
Not to influence, Ian, do you have any opinions? One
well,
up or down?
Talion's the main guy. I only played a little bit of the first one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Talion is Troy
it's Talion.
Baker, if that influences your decision at all.
I mean, Brad makes a good point that he's got a ghost with him and he's pretty much already dead. So I think Talion might win in a fight, though Aloy might. She's got ranged attacks, but yeah, probably Talion.
Yeah, Talion has all that. And he can control orcs and ogres and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Or trolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Blood, you're nodding gently, just a slight nod.
I'm thinking, doesn't Aloy have like a lot of traps?
She does, yeah. She can
So that's what I'm thinking. Like, maybe Aloy doesn't. She can't kill him, but she can pin him down, and he'll just be pinned down. He can't get out.
Well, he could literally shoot a bow and teleport at them and kill them immediately. So,
Can't really compete with that.
Aw. Ibrahim Sozer drops this on us, and I'm glad, Ben, to have you here for this. Ian, actually, as well, because this is one of your favorite things of all time. Quiet in MGS5 versus The End from MGS3.
Oh, damn.
At a distance.
Dang.
Through the scopes.
Probably.
I mean,
Yeah.
all Quiet has to do is just like wait it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
But Quiet know that,
because
you know.
She won't fall asleep.
Yeah.
Did you all know that the first time you played MGS3, and so would you assume that Quiet would as well?
The first time I played it, no. I didn't know it the first time.
If you have to like sneak up behind him and be like, oh. But yeah,
Ben?
quiet probably.
Thoughts?
Unless it's like, what's her weakness? Like raining? If does she drown if it's raining?
She
Does
breathes through her skin.
Yeah.
breathes through her skin. Those games.
Make any sense? Okay.
Yeah, I think quiet would win.
Yeah.
I'm just remembering that mission at the end of MGS5 where, yeah, I feel like quiet can take on a lot. Has been through a lot. The end is funny because I love that boss fight, and he's obviously a good sniper, but I just feel like quiet has more going on. Is that unfair?
No.
Plus, like, if it comes down to just like getting up and moving, quiet might have the edge.
Yeah,
Right.
isn't she like super fast when she's with
She's
you?
Yeah.
faster than the end.
Yeah.
That's for
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. You can drop a box on quiet though when you fight her.
Yeah.
Excellent point.
Yeah.
Still not
boxes.
quiet.
Are you still? Yeah. Blood, you nodded and said yes. Are you?
Yeah. I think quiet. Just the funny thing that you can just wait out the end and he'll just die.
I got to be honest. I want battles within the allies to happen, but everybody kind of slips into one decision or the other whenever we do gaming gladiators. But that is it for that segment. Thank you very much for the submissions. This week we didn't get announcements because we knew about Mafia Trilogy from last week, but Mafia Trilogy is a thing that's happening now, which is great. I'm actually playing Mafia 2 Definitive Edition right now. And all of these are definitive editions, even though all of them are completely separate things. So
Right.
Mafia Definitive Edition is not out yet, is a built from the ground up remake of the beloved classic. Mafia 2 Definitive Edition is the Ultra HD remaster of the fan favorite, and Mafia 3 Definitive Edition is the reintroduction of the award-winning narrative masterpiece.
That's
What-
so funny.
Wait, what?
What
What's
does
a
that? What's 3 mean? What does
We
that
don't
mean?
think you were paying attention the first time.
Right.
Let me reintroduce it to you.
Can you
buy it?
Can you reintroduce a game?
with no changes? Like, I assume it includes like DLC or something,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
one
the only difference.
One little
I think
tweak
so.
that I really liked was you get, I don't know if this was on my code that we got Blood or whatever, but I have 2 items, a car and a jacket from Mafia 3 in Mafia 2 in the closet. I went into the
What?
garage and I was like, wait, what? Why do I have this car from Starsky and Hutch? And then was like, oh, like it's the Mafia 3 car. Cool. So you can drive this car that like was not in the 40s or 50s, like around New
Mafia
York.
2, the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all kind of, bleeding together. I imagine that there's a lot of DLC and stuff like that. But, yeah, is that silly? What could Mafia 3 be? Like, I did some reading up on this, but I didn't... I have not played Mafia 3. I was just gravitated more towards Mafia 2, which I am enjoying. But do we think they just realized, Blood, that they had to get this involved and, oh, well, we can just call it a reintroduction? How would you frame this?
I mean, they're doing the trilogy. Like, that's how the main way that they're selling this is as the trilogy, and so, yeah, that's just the way it basically is. It's just a couple years old, so what are you gonna do to it? So,
Brad, you with lightning speed grabbed the Steam code for this. With this, like, I always love seeing replies that this happened the same minute in Slack. I'm like, woohoo! That person was poised and ready. What's your interest in Mafia? Is this something that you always wanted to play?
Yeah, I've always wanted to play the trilogy. I've never played any of them. I've always heard Mike speak highly of them. And now that they're coming out remastered, so I was like, oh, hell yeah, baby. Time to try them out.
Well, there's only one remaster, and then Mafia Definitive Edition is getting a built from the ground up remake of the beloved classic. We've seen
Yeah, but why do they call it a remaster? That's a remake.
a remake. Sorry, that is a remaster. Built from the ground up remake of the beloved classic. I'm getting my Rees all mixed up. I got
Easy.
3 Rees. It's the 3 Rees. But that got screenshots released in like 18 seconds, like a 20-second trailer, 18 seconds of quote-unquote gameplay. I don't know, like cutscenes that maybe looked like
Yeah.
they were in-engine. But from the screenshots, it looks pretty great.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how that plays. Have you ever played Mafia 1? Any Mafia 1 players on the panel?
No, I've played the
No.
other 2. I really like Mafia 2 a lot. But yeah, man, Mafia 1 was always one of those games that you would read about in magazines and people would always speak very highly of it, and I just never got to play it.
Yeah.
I have a question. Are they a continuous story or are they kind of standalone?
I think they're like, there's like some connecting elements. They take place in different time periods, though.
Okay.
Yeah,
'Cause,
they're
like-
different characters.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense because not knowing if it was a story or a continuing story or not, I was like, why not just wait until 1 is ready to put out 2 and 3?
Yeah.
Right.
But it makes a little more sense if they don't have to be like played in order, I guess.
Having played through Mafia 2, you don't need to know
Yeah,
anything
I
about
was gonna
Mafia
ask-
1.
Oh,
I
okay.
asked Mike that. And he said, yeah, you could just hop into 2.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
that
playing.
makes sense then.
I put a couple hours into 2, and I didn't feel like, whoa, I just clearly missed something, or they're referencing stuff I'm not familiar
Well,
with.
then it makes more sense probably because they're doing more to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So they
It
want
still
you
kind
to.
of doesn't make sense though.
I
Oh.
mean, it doesn't. I guess it's like 2 is a remaster, but it's still like older. But if 1 is getting like the full remake treatment, like Capcom level or Square Enix level, like I doubt it, but then like that'll be quote unquote more impressive.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I get the sense that they're actually probably using the current like the Mafia 3 engine to like rebuild the game in.
sure.
I feel like staggered releases generate more excuses to bring it up in the conversation, and
Sure, yeah.
Is that the thermometer Capcom's at the very top, where they're just like, they're going full Capcom on this, like, whoa, like, serious? Or Square Enix is maybe like right above that.
They're different approach. I feel like Capcom and Square are like tied, but they do it differently.
what's funny about Capcom is I feel like you can use the phrase "they're going full Capcom," and depending on the situation, that can either be amazing or terrible.
Or really bad.
That statement really depends on context.
Well, I feel like that was Square Enix as well because
Sure.
like Square Enix is like, one of the few publishers that will like re-release a garbage version of one of their like highly
Right.
esteemed games.
For $35 on a phone.
Right.
On August 28th, everybody who buys this will gain access to the definitive edition of the first Mafia, which that definitive edition is the remake. Yeah, how do we feel? Blood, what makes you nervous about this? Do you think this is potentially like a bad decision, or do you concur with what Ben said about this staying in the conversation?
Yeah, I guess it's just strange to sell a, I mean, like the codes that you guys got even, like they were Mafia Trilogy codes. Like you buy the Mafia Trilogy and it's missing the first part for the next couple of months, like hopefully it gets done on time. It's just like a strange package to sell when like part 1 is not in it.
Can you buy them individually, though, like that?
I think that you can. I'm pretty sure that you can buy two. You can definitely buy 3 individually.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's just a weird thing. I do remember there being like something weird about the. I'd have to look it up.
That's
The
been happening
physical
more.
edition.
Yeah, Mafia 2 is definitely its own item in the store. I'm playing it on Xbox, and that was
Okay.
definitely like its own separate thing. I didn't have to like boot up a like trilogy
Cool.
thing. But it's it's interesting because the way that it's framed, I think the reason why it works is we just found out about it, and then we gain access to 2 parts of it that are, one of which I just think right now Mafia 2 is the exciting thing because it is definitely a game that came out last gen, but it looks I'm very satisfied with the visuals. The frame rate's one thing, but just the lighting and everything I think is really good. But it's kind of interesting because it's kind of backwards where like you might get some of these extra things, but definitive edition is really what you want to be there for. But at the same time, people can jump in and invest now kind of like a pre-order. So it is, I think this is an example of tricks that the industry has done before. It's just a really strange kind of backwards way of doing it.
What I like about it, and sorry, I think I got
Yeah.
some drywall in my eye, but
It happens.
what I like about it is you know what you're getting into ahead of time, So like one wouldn't be as mad in this scenario, whereas if you like bought it and then they were like, obviously it's coming out in August, like I got a sample instrument that was a viola, and then they were like, hey, if you pay a little more, you can get the violin and cello when they come out. And now I'm like excited for my violin and
Right.
cello, So like for me, it's like building excitement. So I think, yeah, you're right that it's kind of a fun thing to look forward to.
Unless
With the
Mafia
Mafia
Definitive
one.
Edition is like a bad cello,
Right.
And-
That's
Yeah.
what I wonder.
Yeah.
Like if this is a really bad game, well,
That's where
like,
it bites you in the butt. Yeah,
You've already
it's-
got this. You paid full price, and you've already even played all of Mafia 2. It's weird.
I haven't played the Mafia 2 re-release, but according to Huber and Brandon, what you were alluding to about the frame rate, it does not seem like ideal versions of these games. Huber was saying today on Weekly Hunts that it was borked, and so that's a bummer.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily fill me with confidence then that the Mafia 1 remake is going to be super great when it comes to performance. Again, this is all secondhand information, which I think deserves being said. But
yeah, you're selling a superior visual experience, and then
right.
as the teaser, as the appetizer beforehand, you're getting something that doesn't necessarily run as well as people would expect.
I guess the test would be if Mafia 3 runs well, because theoretically, like you said, 1 will be using the 3 engine. Mm-hmm. Maybe 2 had some weird thing in the upres that made the frame rate bad. I don't know.
It's interesting that we're seeing a trend of this, though, because like the Yakuza collection, that had a Sega release, and then we're seeing like Master Chief Collection on PC come out on a Sega release, which I think is really interesting because I've seen it affect us as Easy Allies even, where Reach came out, and I remember us being interested then, and then Mike and Mike doing Halo 2, and I think if all of those games just came out on PC, we probably would have just played it once and moved on. But the benefit of a staggered release is it gives us an excuse to make another stream out of it, or do a group stream, or whatever.
Keeps it in your mind.
Keeps it in your mind, yeah.
I think people will be happy. I'm also a little bit nervous about the fact that we just got a very, very short trailer. It was kind of strange to be like, hey, tune in a couple days and we'll show you this.
Right.
And that was it was a GIF. It was like, okay, that's not really what I was waiting for.
For a game coming out in 3 months?
But I think it'll be kind of a nice, fun thing. I do love, it wasn't really like close to a shadow drop, but it was still surprising, and I am enjoying it despite all of the technical things, but I think that obviously that is, I have the eyes of somebody who is just taking in all of this stuff at the, for the first time. But I do, before I move on from the story, I do want to play Remake, Remaster, or Reintroduction, specifically with trilogies. Now, we get love and respects like this a lot, where it's just like, what do we do with these franchises? What do we do with this stuff? I just got 5 trilogies here. I need a remake, a remaster, and a reintroduction. Remake meaning you gloss it up from the ground up. Remaster, you just make it prettier. Or reintroduction, you just label it a PR speak for for Game of the Year edition, basically.
And are we saying remaster the whole trilogy, or like remaster number 2?
There's 3 options. You got to pick which one,
okay.
1, 2, or 3, which gets what.
Okay.
Mass Effect.
Well, remaster 2, remake 2, I mean.
Okay.
Remake
2?
Yeah, it's the best one.
Oh, so you're saying because it's the best one, give it the most attention.
Oh, okay. Because 1 is definitely in need of a remake.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if remake implies,
elevators.
Like the full, making the whole game better, then remake 1, I guess.
I think I'd be just okay with a remaster.
For 1?
For the whole trilogy.
I mean, I'd be very happy with that because I never played it, but I'm waiting for that announcement. That's also might be news this week. There, we just covered it on the podcast. Max Payne.
Oh, boy.
Dude. Remaking Max Payne would be sick.
If we can apply the same thing to all of them, just remake them all.
It's weird because I think, in a strange way, specifically with Max Payne 1, the way that it looks is very important to the vibe, almost. Like, I just think of Max Payne 1, and I think of that Max Payne face, and it's very integral to the experience for me.
Just have Sam Lake do the new face, dude.
Just you could 4K Sam Lake squish face.
Yeah, you could definitely remake them, though.
Would it make sense? Because Remedy had nothing to do with 3, right?
No, it was Rockstar.
Rockstar, right?
Yeah. So it'd be kind of funny if you remade 3.
Got Remedy remake 3.
Remastered the other 2.
Like a D-Res? Like make it in the style of 1 or 2?
Just make it more consistent in general.
Or like in Streets of Rage when you can have the old fighters, it's like you can just have like this old weird looking Max running around in all of the games. Metroid Prime. I guess we're potentially getting a remaster, but that hasn't really.
Just slap
officially
that.
come out.
We need a fourth category. Slap it on the Switch.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
slap it
just
on
get
the
it.
Switch, baby. You
Just-
don't have to
alright.
do anything.
There's a lot of contenders for that.
Well, they need to make it
You know,
HD.
16 by 9,
Fix-
yeah.
Fix
Yeah.
the controls and make it HD. Yeah.
They've already done the control thing.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah, 16:9 and you're golden.
Grand Theft Auto PS2 Trilogy.
Remake
3,
it.
Vice City.
Oh man, there's a lot you
San
could do there with a
Andreas.
remake.
Yeah, remake that.
Yeah,
Just
I
remake them
agree.
all.
Yeah.
And finally, Super
an
Mario
interesting-
Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, and Super Mario Brothers 3 for the NES.
Cool. They're perfect as they are.
I feel like they've touched those games so much already. Like,
Yeah.
and you don't need to. Like,
Leave them alone.
leave them alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reintroduce them.
Reintroduction.
Reintroduce.
Reintroduction. Fair.
So later on in this podcast, I'm going to talk about some unfortunate things also that got canceled. Obviously, you know, as weeks go by, there are things that we just can't do this year. But one, we do have some good news, even though this is not something that I can super weigh in from experience, but it's something that I have adored from afar. And I'm so glad that it keeps going. EVO is going to be EVO Online. And they updated their lineup for the digital version of EVO. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, EVO's usually just like a week or a weekend, and this
It's
is
a-
going to
yeah.
be like July.
Yeah. So Evo is 3 days, and this is 5 weekends. So
Yeah.
Wow.
very different format. Yeah.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, no longer apart.
Sending a message. Sending a message.
So
If
funny,
we can
dude.
only do it digitally, we are not going to do it.
Oh man.
But they're keeping
'Cause
everybody
the
else.
netcode is so bad.
Yeah, the
Yep.
online sucks.
Well, they're keeping a lot of the other games except for Smash Ultimate,
Well,
but they're
'cause there's,
not.
like-
They're exhibitions, so they're not full on like Evo tournaments. So
Like
they've
MVC?
changed.
Oh, I mean, they can't do MVC.
Oh, and yeah,
well,
MVC. No, they. I think
there
I
an
don't think
online
MVC. I don't think MVC is even an exhibition. I could be wrong on that, but it might be Smash Ultimate and MVC2 are off. But then they're doing the rest of the main lineup as exhibition. And then yeah, the ones they're actually doing tournaments on are games with really good netcode, and MK11, which wasn't going to be part
Yeah.
of Evo,
Back on.
is back on board. And it's really cool because smaller things that wouldn't get a lot of attention, like Skullgirls or them fighting herds, are getting like primetime spotlight, as well as Killer Instinct. I know a lot of people are really excited
Wow,
about that.
K-Ice coming back?
K-Ice
Yeah.
coming back. Yep,
Wow.
yep. And yeah, are getting full blown attention, which is awesome. And what's really neat is seeing like the ripple effect that has had, where they've kind of announced their main games for this online tournament, and that's had an effect on people checking out these games. Like Skullgirls is having a bit of a resurgence. People that probably wouldn't check out them fighting herds are checking out them fighting herds. So that's awesome.
Yeah, neat.
What is that game you're saying?
Them fighting herds, it's basically My Little Pony fighting game.
That's right.
That sounds
I saw the
hilarious.
title and
Yeah.
didn't recognize,
Yeah.
but like,
And apparently it has amazing netcode and a cool story mode and has a lot of things that you would want in a fighting game. I have not played it myself, but people seem happy with it.
they're also doing a special invitational Marvel vs. Capcom 2 tournament for the
Okay.
20th anniversary of Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Okay, so that is still on.
Nice.
I didn't realize. I'm
And
glad
ju-
that you said that.
And just to clarify, their lineup is Dragon Ball Fighters, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Samurai Showdown, Soul Calibur 6, Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition, Tekken 7, and Under the Night in Birth XE late
Under Night in
controller.
Birth. Under Night in Birth, yeah.
Under Night in Birth XE X late controller. Ben, you were
That's
talking
beautiful.
about resurgence.
Yeah.
And this is interesting that Evo's still able to stick around, that they can change their format. I mean, even though there's no E3, even though there's not going to be a Comic-Con, like we're still going to get, game releases and announcements. They're just a question of how they are going to be combined. But it's neat that Evo's continuing. It's kind of crazy to me that it's expanding across such a long, period of time, starting on July 4th and then wrapping up on at the beginning of the next month. With everybody tuning into a lot of digital stuff because we're all stuck at home, could this be good for Evo in the long run? Do you anticipate maybe a lot of people tuning in that haven't before?
Yeah, I think something that really helps it is the fact that it's taking place over 5 weekends. I do think you lose a little bit. I mean, part of the journey of Evo that's super exciting is, it's an open tournament, right? So anybody can join, and that's part of the fun of watching pools is like just seeing what weird controllers people bring, or seeing any upsets, or seeing like Harada play his own game. And so it's like I think you lose some of the magic of Evo because you don't have that kind of that story building up to like finals in this arena, which is super exciting. But at the same time, I think it's good that it's happening over a long space of time because maybe more people will be inclined to tune in. Maybe because people are in quarantine themselves, potentially. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. People that maybe are not interested in fighting games will want to check it out. I think it just depends on how the commentary goes and how it's presented. I think a huge part of Evo is seeing the players, right, and seeing their reactions. And so when you don't kind of have that human element in the same way, I wonder how much is being lost. Like, pop-offs. You need pop-offs.
Do you think that the players will be on webcams, or will it just be the gameplay footage?
I'm not sure. Because it's an open tournament, I mean, I think you probably want to request as little as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'd be surprised if webcams were there. Also, another thing to coordinate that would be a mess.
And having video streaming as you play would also like impact your internet stability. So, yeah.
I think they're making, to sum it all up, I think they're making the best of a bad situation, and I think it is really awesome, and I commend Evo for prioritizing games with good netcode, and instead of just relying on name recognitions. And hopefully that draws more attention to the fact that like people really just want to have good matches in online fighting games. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Ben, Capcom's going full Capcom. A Resident Evil Code Veronica remake is in development, apparently.
Rumored, right?
Rumored.
Yeah, rumored.
Along with 4.
But that 4 is kind of more heavily rumored. 4 maybe seems more likely. I don't know. Where are we at with Resident Evil remakes as of today?
They're gonna happen.
Yeah, they're probably just gonna do them all.
This is awesome news, though.
What's the timeline?
Well, awesome rumor.
I'm really excited about it, and I must confess, I spent too much time thinking about where we are in terms of Resident Evil timelines, like where we're at, because we have Resident Evil Remake back in the GameCube, then we have 2 and 3 that are launched so close together. Are those in like the same universe? Do they just kind of reboot the timeline with
Remake?
2, or is 2 supposed to be kind of connected to the old Remake? Is Remake 2 and 3 precursors to 7? Well, how many dimensions do we have in the Resident Evil universe?
I don't think
Revelations
Resident
its own
Evil
thing?
is that disconnected from itself.
Yeah,
I think it all theoretically exists together.
Well, you get into problems where like old 3 had multiple endings and this one has one, and they said like this is the story we wanted to tell, you know.
Yeah,
but it's
there's
like
a canon ending.
Yeah, I think it's the same as there's always been the canon ending. Same with like Silent Hill and stuff. It's just like this is the most likely canon ending.
The dog.
And the rest
ending.
are just like what ifs. Yeah, dog ending for sure. But yeah, so I guess I think they all check out as much as Resident Evil checks out.
Yeah, they just do a lot of recasting and restyling. Like there's the Code Veronica Chris Redfield, there's the Resident Evil 5 Chris Redfield, there's the Resident Evil 6 Chris Redfield, there's the Resident Evil 7 like
depressed alcoholic Chris Redfield.
Right.
Yeah, dude.
So I wonder how I think these things just seem so likely because especially with 3, ended up being a lot shorter and a lot less detailed than I had anticipated based on what they had done with 2, but it still worked. And I think it was still successful, and I'm still like totally happy that they made it. So like, I don't know really where my expectations lie on a Code Veronica remake. I just wonder how much all of this is going to stick to one particular style, or if they're just going to embrace what those games are, like what the weirdness of Code Veronica that exists just within itself, and how much they're like, no, 2 and 3 were so great, we got to make them like 2 and 3.
I think that's what, and I don't want to misquote. I recall hearing something that like the director or producer said like, we're telling it the way we wanted to tell it. It seems like to me they're like, these are the definitive editions, like these are the quote unquote like the way we could have done it the way we would have done it if we could have done it this way, So it's like they're ironing out all the inconsistencies that you were mentioning with different characterizations and making one cohesive whole. So I think because of that, they would probably continue in the RE2, RE3 make style. I think.
Clearly, they have the engine they like.
Yeah.
When are these games coming out? If they're being made.
Yeah.
I'm getting way ahead of myself.
I think they're
it's
gonna
fun.
definitely need to take more time.
Can
on
they
both
come
of
out?
these.
Can they come out close
Probably-
together, like 2 and 3,
Yeah, they could.
like 10 months apart?
They could. Yeah. I'd
I
say
mean,
they're
I-
probably 2
I
or
think-
3 years away.
The
Capcom
issue is
seems
that 4 is so different.
Yeah.
Capcom seems as interested in as possible in keeping the Resident Evil train rolling.
Yeah.
So
Like
Like,
it's not
yeah.
stopping.
yeah, I doubt we'll get gaps that are too long for some Resident Evil project. It's been a healthy clip.
You think 2022 at the latest for the next one?
For the next remake?
Yeah.
Well, depends. See, the thing is it depends on when Resident Evil 8
8,
happens
oh yeah.
as well. You
I
know,
forgot.
Yeah.
They're gonna give that one its own 10 months probably.
Oh yeah.
well, then
could
DLC.
Could
and,
that
yeah.
get messy? Is there some way you could stumble that and RE4 remake, Code Veronica remake could mess up the thunder, I guess, rolling out the red carpet for 8? Or is it
Resident Evil
just the
4
more merrier?
remake could absolutely mess up the thunder for
Right.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 is crazy the way it, continues to sell every time they've re-released it.
Like Code Veronica is the easier win. That there's a lot more that you could improve or build on or experiment with, whereas like Resident Evil 4, I don't know. I mean, there's of course things that you can improve, but I think it's just a touchier subject in general, and so
Right.
and it just needs a remake less.
Well,
in
yeah, well
general.
that's what's funny is like these new remakes owe so much to 4 in a certain way, and like
Right.
Resident Evil since 4 owes so much to 4, and like honestly the main changes they might even make are just like better graphics and you can move and shoot,
Yeah.
and like they wouldn't even need to do much more than that. Like
I wonder. I mean, speaking of 4 remake, how they would handle Ashley, right? I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of room there to maybe make that better or more involved somehow.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you like have more lengthy play as her chapters or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That'd be
think it's
cool.
one of these things where, with 1, 2, and 3, you're going from those kind of older, more top-down, fixed cameras and stuff. So there's a lot more to kind of re-envision there and distance itself from what the original was. Whereas you take something like 4 and it's just you're just gonna get straight up comparisons. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna get people walking to like the same area or whatever, the same characters, and put them side by side, and
Which isn't probably a bad thing. Like, they'd probably eat that up. Like, they would love to see that on Twitter.
Sure. What I'm just saying is it's going to be a lot harder to say to like, oh, well, this is kind of like a very separate thing than that. It's like, no, this is like a better version or a worse version of 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would like to see if they were to make a big change is like smooth out the pacing a little better in 4 maybe, like because 4 definitely feels like it's got like 3 endings, like you think it's gonna end and then it's like, oh, there's a castle, and then you think it's gonna end and you're like, oh, there's a lab or whatever. If they could like make it flow just a little more, not saying it doesn't flow pretty well already, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious
I
how
just
they
hope-
handle goofy parts of the game, like the
Yeah.
minecart and stuff.
Mr. Kennedy.
That game is pretty damn goofy.
That
That
game
game's
is
just as
super
goofy.
goofy.
Yeah.
It is.
It's super
goofball.
goofy.
It's also in a way like the most violent Resident Evil ever got.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
there's
those deaths.
so many deaths
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I feel like Capcom sort of walked back on after that. So I'm curious whether it would be, quite as much there going on.
But I can't help but notice that Resident Evil Code Veronica Remake was potentially rumored the last couple of days, and all we're talking about is RE4 right now. Is this?
Well, I was
like,
I was about to talk about Veronica because the thing that's weird to me is 4 was rumored first.
Yeah.
Veronica rumored earlier this week, and it's like, well, really they should put out Veronica first.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
like, for the story, for a lot of reasons, which is weird because if they are both being rumored right now, does that imply that they're both being worked on, or is there no credence to this rumor at all?
Well, I mean, there's probably 2 teams doing
Yeah.
it. Like
But
there
then
was
there's-
for 2 and 3.
There's got to be a third team because they're
Yeah.
doing
Oh.
Resident Evil 8. And it's like, how many teams
Capcom's
are
a
there?
big corporation.
Thinking
Who's
about
working on Dragon's Dogma 2, Brad?
Itsuno is
right?
working on
Yeah.
it by himself.
Yeah, he's
By
working on it.
himself.
Code Veronica, the remake. I mean, visually, Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 3 remake are pretty outstanding. And what's one of the cool things about Code Veronica is the environments. Like seeing that prison in the RE engine would be fantastic. That creepy, like, manor that you go to that is still creepy, even with PS2 graphics. Imagine that in the RE2 engine, or the Resident Evil engine, the RE engine, and then like the Antarctic base. Like imagine, because there's a scene where you go and the giant spider is under the ice and you walk over it. Fuck that! Like,
well, it's like there's no asset sharing here, you know. Like 2 and 3 kind of, you know, shook hands every now and then,
Right,
with just
right.
realizing like these it's just things happen around the same time. You know, some of the backgrounds and stuff like that, the environments, you know, might be familiar. But yeah, these are 2 very different games with completely different casts. And
So the report I'm reading, which seems to be one of the earlier sources, it's pinning Resident Evil 8 for 2021 and Code Veronica for 2023.
Oh, wow. And no mention of 4?
RE4 is Christmas.
No, they had mentioned 4, but they don't put it in that timeline.
It's
for
gonna be
some
like
reason.
20 years since 4 came out by the time the remake comes out.
Oh wait, no, yeah, 2022 is when it's saying for 4.
I think I'm most excited for Resident Evil 8 though.
Well, yeah,
For
so
how-
we have no idea what it could be.
Well, I mean, we have the rumors, and they sound off the wall in a really cool way.
Rumors
so I hope those are true.
that it's first person, but it used to be a Revelations 3.
Yeah,
Those rumors?
but just how it's dealing with the occult and like witches and werewolves and stuff.
Yeah, it's very.
Werewolves,
It's
huh?
like 4,
Dang.
how 4 was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, even RE4 has kind of Blair Witch vibes of just kind of like off the beaten path.
Yeah.
My
That
car's
forest.
broken. We're stuck. Yeah, I pinch me, please. Resident
yeah,
Evil games. But it's just the thing about Code Veronica is it's like that's it. Like you got RE1, 2, 3, RE0, which again I wonder if RE0 and Code Veronica are just like, despite you know what the quality of one versus another, there's just those games even hardcore Resident Evil fans might have missed. And might not generally have as much interest as other things in going back and replaying. But if we're getting RE4 remake and all of this stuff, Code Veronica, that's all that's left. You know, you got to get into like Dead Aim and Umbrella Chronicles and stuff like that. I don't see Revelations getting this treatment, but any excuse to bring Resident Evil on here. Apologies, Michael Huber is not on the podcast this week. This is interesting. Tencent is now handling System Shock 3. Yeah, so Tencent, you know them, you love them. They own more things you probably realize. And the game was previously handled by Other Side Entertainment, and then it was going to be published by Starbreeze, but Starbreeze backed out. And now they're handing it on to Tencent. And obviously Tencent's making lots of fascinating, beautiful content, but single-player stuff is not necessarily what they're known for. System Shock 3's kind of had a tumultuous development. Good news, bad news? No news?
It's certainly news.
It's
I
something.
see. I see what you have to say there, Ian.
It's not like you hear. It's not like you hear Tencent get something and you're like jumping up and down with joy. You're not like, oh yes, my favorite, great.
Yeah.
I'm super confident in the future of this thing.
You're like, how are they going to monetize it?
Yeah,
Well, I'm searching through to see what I can find out, but in like System Shock 3 has been around for a while. Like the
Yeah, it's
email
been
that came
demo
up
and
was
stuff. Yeah.
like 2017.
Yeah.
Ooh.
To answer your question, Ian, I'm dying to know how they're going to sell this.
Yeah.
It's keeping me up at night. Because I really do enjoy the System Shock franchise. I haven't finished these games, but these games always came up when we did lots of features back at Game Trailers, and I think there's just a lot of really special stuff going on there potentially, and there's just a lot of franchises that are coming back and doing a lot of really exciting things, and it just seems weird to kind of get a handle on where this is and why they would be interested in it. What's the value here for Tencent?
You see, Riot is going into they've announced more some of them are smaller team, multiplayer games, like that one that they showed it for 2 seconds. It looked like Diablo kind of, and by that other outside studio. I don't remember any of the details, but it seems as though they are wanting to expand on the Riot side, into more 1 to 4 player content. And I mean, from Tencent's perspective, I'm sure they're kind of just the money here. I don't see them. I mean, maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe they're taking a more active development role, but that doesn't seem to be what Tencent often does. So maybe they just saw promise in it and are paying for it. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely outside of their general wheelhouse for sure. What would be cool is and I doubt this, but it'd be really cool if it's going meta, and the AI in this one or something represents a giant multinational corporation that you're fighting, and it's Tencent themselves.
Blood, I tried to sniff this one, and I didn't smell anything. It's just so strange that Tencent would be... They haven't really said a heck of a lot about it. I found out way more about Starbreeze leaving, and just kind of what's going on. In other news, Night Dive, which is working on a remake of the first System Shock for modern consoles, still owns the System Shock IP. It's just specifically System Shock 3. So is that because it's going great and they're going to be excited about this thing potentially making them money, or they have franchise goals, or they're thinking about making another game after System Shock 3, or they want to fix it? I have no idea. I just
was
think it's
this one kickstarted, or was that a different remake that was kickstarted back in the day?
I don't think so.
Are you thinking about the System Shock remake?
Yeah.
Yes, that's Night Dives.
Oh,
okay,
okay.
The remake.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the Eurogamer report now, and it's interesting because it looks like it was initially announced in December 2015, and then Starbreeze is having issues in 2018, and so Other Side kept doing it on their own, but they're so small that it looked like they were kind of looking for somebody to kind of help them out, but now it's not clear whether Other Side will actually be involved or if Tencent's just taking everything off their hands. So craziness.
Night Dive.
Yeah.
Night Dive re-releases some sweet stuff, like Blood and Seventh Guest, and I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Anyway, sorry. Doom 64.
I guess my expectations. It's tricky for me to know where to set them in terms of if this is going to speed along the process or, yeah.
Well, it sounds like they have funding, at least, for whatever they're going to do with it.
Right. Yeah, whether they're involved or not.
There will be money now.
This has got backing. But yeah, it's curious because it could either speed things up or it could be throw it all out in the trash and we'll make a different System Shock 3.
Get this one game out the door and see how it does not seem like a Tencent move to me. It just seems like maybe they want to integrate this into stuff that they're already doing, or... one of the fascinating things about Tencent is how much they dabble. They don't own 100% a lot of things. They just kind of they do own plenty, but there's just a lot of things that they only own part of, and so it's interesting for them to go all in just specifically on a franchise that they knew was in trouble. But
what's weird is the Other Side tweet where they say, "We're happy to announce that Tencent will be taking the franchise forward. As a smaller indie studio, it's been challenging for us to carry out the project on our own." It's they don't say they're still doing anything on it.
right.
Yeah.
To me, this sounds like Tencent just bought an IP and is gonna let it die.
Aw. I can't leave the conversation on that note. That is very dire, though. That is very System Shock, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know why they'd buy it though and just not do anything with it.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if not now, they might have some plans for it in the future, I guess.
We'll find out. That's the easy answer.
Yeah.
System Shock MOBA.
Yeah.
We just have to wait. But I couldn't wait to talk about Tencent. Finally, one last news story. Valorant will launch in the quote-unquote majority of regions worldwide on June 2nd. And just like we're talking about how you would possibly roll out a Resident Evil remake or several, what the heck Tencent's doing with System Shock, and how Mafia is rolling out, I just wonder kind of where we're at with Valorant right now, following the beta, and where we think this game is going to be when it launches. Now that we know the launch date, like looking back at, because this was pretty much a unique scenario in terms of how Valorant was shown to the world and how people got access to it, so on.
The way Valorant rolled out was so smart and worked so well. It is the new hotness, and it feels like it engineered that perfectly. I mean, people seem to be genuinely enjoying it, but the way that they did it with getting behind Twitch streamers and then like the way the drops work on Twitch and just generating interest and making it part of the conversation and making it feel so big, and then the positive impressions that are coming out as well. But like everything has come out. There seems to be a lot of heat behind Valorant.
Well, and step 2 of how to get the beta is watch streams on Twitch.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So it's I just checked and I still didn't get the beta. I guess I didn't watch any streams though, so it's fair.
If you're not Tencent, if you're not Riot, if you're not Valorant, why not do this? Should you do this? Is this something that can be repeated? Is this something only Riot can do?
I think it requires a certain level of scale that Riot easily fits into.
Yeah. Like, I could see Valve doing this or something. Or, like, Blizzard. But you gotta be a big boy to do something like this.
Was it a risk?
No,
No.
not at all.
All
I
these
don't
hoops
know.
that people had to jump through?
I
I
mean,
don't think that could have backfired?
I don't know. Like, the hoop, I guess, is you just watch a stream for a little bit, I guess. I think, yeah, they could have done, like, open beta, I guess, but it kind of made it feel more exclusive, I guess, when people always want to be a part of something they can't.
Yeah.
So I think that did help generate a lot of buzz.
It definitely gave it the illusion of exclusivity without being that restrictively exclusive.
Right.
And, I mean, we're talking about beta, right? So a lot of the times we have closed betas all the time, and they have a limited number of slots that they can put in there.
Right.
And so this is just a different way of going about distributing those codes.
Yeah.
And it's great because it serves 2 purposes, right? It's a beta test and it's an advertising campaign all at the same
absolutely.
time. And like, yeah, you can't ask for something better than that.
You don't just stay in early access like Fortnite forever? You don't just
Yeah,
just dangle
out
that
yet?
carrot? No, it's
not
still early
out.
access.
No.
Is it smart for Valorant to launch? Is anything we're still going to be talking about Valorant after? I wonder because ESPN, love going to ESPN for my video game news. This is great. Lead Valorant developer Anna Donlan told ESPN, "We're going to launch with a second game mode, but we're putting a beta tag on that mode." And the article went on to talk a lot about how even though they are quote unquote launching, they're like, we're launching this thing that we've made better from the beta, and then we're just going to keep doing a lot of stuff, which The Division is saying, which, obviously like Monster Hunter. There's lots of games that have that design, but it's really kind of a limited range of what has been successful. That is what is launching on June 2nd. Will that meet everyone's expectations? Do you think everyone kind of has a solid idea of what to expect next month from this game?
I think that the more large companies that do things like this, I think that the very concept of what a game coming out even means is going to continue to shift, because like this is the smartest way to roll Valorant out, is like put out that mode that you beta tested and then like say it's out so you get another second wave of publicity, and then add on more modes and more modes to treat it like living content, like ongoing content, when really it's just finishing your game, And it's like, I think that a lot of games, Fortnite, maybe even smaller single player games. Who knows? Like, in the future, we might not see the words beta or early access, but that's just like how certain kinds of games will come out, I wonder.
Yeah, I don't think that this works for like single player content and stuff. I think
probably not.
I think the advantage of a multiplayer game is, you hop in there for your match, and then it's, you're sort of repeating the same thing over and over, but at the same time, it's always different, right? Whereas like a single player game, I had this issue with Final Fantasy 15, right? Like, I finished Final Fantasy 15, and they're like, okay, here's this episode for Ignis, and here's this episode for Arden, and I'm like, I'm done. Like, I've played the game. I'm not gonna try to catch up on the parts of the story you didn't give me already.
But like an early version of this is Final Fantasy VII Remake, in a sense. Like, if you think about it in a different way, where it's like it is one big game coming out episodically, like we're still using that terminology.
Determine that when I see what part 2 looks like.
Well, we're still using the terminology of parts.
Right.
But I'm saying like 10, 15 years from now, like that just might be how games happen. Like you buy a game and then you get, new parts every week or whatever, and that's just how games, I don't know.
I think there's a lot of similarities between Valorant and Apex Legends, and I think if you kind of analyze the success of both, you really see how smart some of these people are, because like with Apex Legends, they were like, yeah, we didn't want to like get too far out ahead of it, because if we say like, hey, it's a new battle royale game from EA, people are going to eat us alive. Yeah. And they're right. And so it was just kind of upon us, and you didn't have to deal with those preconceived notions. You just had people getting their hands on it, getting into the nitty-gritty, saying like, oh, it feels great. And I feel very similarly to Valorant's rollout, where it's just kind of upon us. And because I think on a surface level, you say like, here's a hero shooter that on the surface is very similar to Counter-Strike. Like, that's not necessarily that exciting. But watching people play it and get really into it and stream it regularly, I think that has a much better effect on perception.
Almost 3 million people are playing it daily, according to Riot.
Yeah.
It peaked at 1.7 million viewers on Twitch, which y'all probably know. But yeah, I wonder, I mean, should I know characters from this, Ben? Have they been pushing that at all with Valorant? Of like, these are our leads? Because like when you bring up Apex, like I only played like 2 hours and 15 minutes of Apex, and I like know a lot of those characters just because I can't get away from those ads and a lot of that heavy sponsorship. I guess they don't need to do that for Valorant. It's like Riot's playing a survival horror game. Like they got, for some reason they get through that boss fight with just one first aid spray. Like they just really laser focus their marketing toward exactly the people that are going to be obsessive about it,
right,
and just let everybody else kind of trickle in when they're ready. So yeah, is this what's the roadmap for Valorant? Is it gonna was it a big explosion that's just gonna kind of slowly keep rippling, or is it? They're gonna be more peaks and valleys?
It's gonna follow probably the League of Legends model, just adding things slowly over time. Because it's the same like pay model. It's free to play, but there's like cosmetics you can buy. So they're just probably gonna take what works with League of Legends, just carry it over to this.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is interesting too, and I mean, time will tell if this is how they do it, but how they said that they're releasing a second game mode as beta. I'm assuming they mean within the actual game and not on like a PTR, like public test realm server. Because like Overwatch, whenever they introduce something new, it goes on the PTR for a week or a month or however long before being introduced into the real game. It'd be kind of an interesting thing if this game is just, one thing, and it's just like you click on the thing in the menu that's the beta, not open up a whole other version of the game to test stuff out. I like that better. And also I think characters matter less in this because you can use whatever gun you want, right?
Yeah.
So it's like just their individual skills that are different, not their weapons.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The increasing power of influencers and how that plays into video game rollouts is really fascinating to me.
Yeah, it is.
Specific video games. I think that's like part of the skill, is not just how you structure all of that stuff, but knowing what games to attack those specific audiences, knowing who those people are. It's fun to see people make, like pretend to be that too. I've been playing like lots of weird mobile games, and like ads will roll in, and they have like actors that are clearly like pretending to be streamers. So I'm like, ha ha ha. It's
Well,
hilarious.
it's funny because I saw a talk back at GDC a few years ago by Ska Studios. They were talking about Salt and Sanctuary, I think, and they were like, they showed a graph of their sales, and they were like, there's this giant spike in the middle, and it's like, and then it stayed up, you know, and they were like, and here's where a streamer streamed it, and then the rest is history, you know, like, so you asked before if this model of like, get the thing, force people to watch it on Twitch could work for smaller studios, and I think it could with the right circumstance of like, you have to be a certain size or bigger, you know, like I don't know if you have to be Blizzard huge, but you definitely can't be like a game no one's ever heard of by people no one's ever heard of. Like, I just don't think you'd get the attention, but I do believe that there would be a nexus of like a big enough initial push and then the right people streaming it. You could go huge with this.
I think it's a blessing and a curse, because that's sort of how Twitch works already. Like, a lot of people watch specific people on Twitch for a very specific reason, or for a very specific game or type of game, where it's like, I watch this person because they're really good at first-person shooters, or I watch this person because all they do is stream Souls-like games, or primarily. And so it's like, well, if your game naturally fits into one of those slots, that makes sense for promotion. But I think there's just inherently a lot less interest if you're like some kind of new weird thing that maybe doesn't fit into that like channel's brand, or like isn't as streamable. I think you just don't have that avenue available to you in the same way, where it's like, oh, because then you have your audience getting upset, where it's like, oh, why are you playing this? This isn't why I watch you. I don't know.
Also this week, the skaters in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake will be their current age.
Oh my god.
I think this is awesome. I think this is awesome.
Bunch of old dudes running
They're all
around.
like 45 or
I love
plus.
it. I mean, old question, in parentheses, but most sports, gobble up, chew up, spit out. A lot of these guys,
Is it they will be that age no matter what, or it's like a toggle?
I think that's it. Yeah, those are the characters in game.
Are they
I mean,
all
they might
still
have
alive?
skins and weird effects and stuff. I don't know the list. I'm not caught up on all of those gentlemen. Yeah. But I think Tony Hawk just landed at 900 or something.
Yeah.
Like there was some.
Yeah, he's still doing it, man.
He can still do it.
Still flying.
Tony Hawk's great.
I love this, Ian. I got a very serious question for you. So Mojang is now Mojang Studios. Should we just Easy Ally Studio up? Should we do it? Is it time,
that was what we were saying should be the name of our like narrative design branch, right?
Well, we said we have 2 studios in the office, so technically we are Easy Ally Studios.
Plural.
We can do 2
and now
things
we have 8
simultaneously.
because we're all of our homes are studios.
Right.
So
Whoa.
10 if you count the 2 studios that we have at the studio.
Ian, could we have backlot tours?
Oh yeah.
Just, you know what I mean? You just drive around. We drive everybody around LA, and they just like drive by. They can wave at Bloodworth as they drive by his house. I think that's a great idea. Gen Con 2020 was canceled, along with everything else, but that's what makes me happy about EVO still going strong. Mortal Kombat 11 got a friendship trailer that showed off Melina. But not really.
Man.
Yeah, what's going on, Ben? Explain this to our audience, because this is hilarious and slightly confusing to me. I can't tell if
It's hilarious and cruel for sure.
I can't tell if Ed is like really in control of all of that, or if he's like, I wish people would kind of tone down a little bit, or if he's just loving it. Like,
Ed seems like he has a pretty good sense of humor. If you follow him on Twitter, he seems to have like a pretty good perspective on things. But yeah, Melina is in Katana's friendship, and they showed that off in the trailer. And people, understandably, really, 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 really want to play Melina, despite the fact that she died in MKX. But yeah,
Dude.
people really love Melina as a character. She's one of the more recognizable MK characters. And the Mortal Kombat Twitter got out there, and they were like, "Yes, she's in the friendship. No, you can't play as her." So yeah, I it's funny and sad at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, if anybody's salty
There we
about
go.
this, I get it.
Is it just going to continue to be funny and sad? Is that what you're? Should we crank it up to funny more, or should we drop it down to sad and just kind of be honest with everybody? Where do we go from here?
I love when companies troll. So.
I mean, it depends on how much you love Melina. I think if you're like, not dying to play as Melina, it might be more funny, and if you are, it might just be sad.
I have a shocker. According to BioWare, Anthem's next upgrade is a long, long way away.
Surprise.
Wait, it's still getting updates?
Yeah.
Which again, that's like the like what's worse, they got something, they're getting something this week that doesn't work well, or they're taking their time, but people are still going to be stuck playing the current version of Anthem. Serious Sam 4 is launching in August of this year, coming to Stadia before PS4 and Xbox One.
Whoa.
I don't know if that's that
Money
wild
ties.
for Serious Sam.
I mean, Stadia's like a custom PC, so.
Blood, I really thought you were going to say Stadia sucks. I mean, Stadia sucks. I thought that was going to come out of your mouth.
I like Crow Team because of Talos principles, so whatever they want to do, I guess.
Yeah, is this harmless? Just like, well, whatever.
Yeah. I
Just,
assume they got some money, and companies that make games getting money is usually good.
Yeah. Oh, I hope they got money for this.
I think that's one of those double take headlines where I just kind of like read through everyone and I'm like, oh, okay. It's like that's just one of those things that happens. Just Die Already was announced, which is from the Goat Simulator devs, which is old people flipping around and it looks different than Goat Simulator. It's like a different style, a little more cartoony.
Yeah, but it's also super gory. So you like have these like the character models were like their torso is gone. They're just legs walking around with a spine spewing blood. So it's just
cartoony,
totally,
like Team Fortress gory. Not really over the top.
Also, there was a point in the trailer where he went through some guy's apartment, and the guy in the apartment was naked and very hairy, and the physics of his hand got stuck to the guy's naked crotch. That trailer goes places.
Yeah. Okay.
I gotta watch this trailer.
The crotch is blurred out.
Oh.
But I imagine it would not be hard to mod to take the little
give it 2 days.
pixel thing away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Take the link off
Probably
your
it's
must-watch list, Ian.
It's just
not
blurred
worth
for
it.
the trailer, maybe.
Yeah,
Could
we can
be.
only hope. Borderlands 3, Bounty of Blood, A Fistful of Redemption was announced. That is a Western-themed new expansion to Borderlands. How's Borderlands doing with those expansions, Blood?
There are so many, I'm losing track. This
Well,
is
I mean,
like
that's
the
expected.
third or fourth one.
Yeah, I would say third. I mean, is that... They usually get like 8 or something crazy, right? Or like,
yeah, but not like rapid fire like this. I
Oh.
don't feel like they've been this fast with them in the past. I could be wrong, but it's like they just had the Hammerlock one, and now here's another one.
But some games are getting delayed. Some things we're waiting for announcements for lineups of new next-gen consoles. Is this the time to really dive deep into Borderlands? What is this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if
well.
you like Borderlands, yeah, for sure.
That's
there's plenty to do.
It's an excellent answer.
They've tweaked like the stuff that comes like post-game stuff as well. They've made that a little better. So
Cool.
The next trailer for Christopher Nolan's Tenet will premiere in Fortnite, because why not?
I think it already did. I
'Cause
watched
what's-
a new trailer.
Oh,
It was pretty cool.
I think we should premiere like Easy Allies Phase 5 in Fortnite. That's
Right?
what I think. Yeah.
We'll get Epic on the horn.
Yeah.
do we know anybody? Doom Eternal.
several.
Doom Eternal is removing anti-cheating software following a PC player
Yeah.
backlash.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah,
People
I
love
don't know.
to
If,
cheat. Or
I don't know if
what?
that affect. I mean, I don't know if that affects anybody, but like, there's just a lot of times we hear about companies staying strong with stuff like this, or just kind of being like, we
The
made these decisions.
statement is really weird.
It is weird.
It's a weird statement because they go through it and they're like, okay, so people put together that when the cheat stuff went in, that it also like made the game run worse,
Yeah.
and like, oh, but actually the game runs worse because of these other things that we changed, and we're gonna patch that and fix that, but we're also taking out the anti-cheat, and like, but wait, so the anti-cheat wasn't the problem, but you're taking it out anyway? Okay, whatever. I don't know.
Weird.
It's hard to follow.
Speaking of super weird announcements, specifically the verbiage, you dropped this on us, Blood. CBE Software has listened to their customers and made the unusual decision to remove content from their newly released title Someday You'll Return in favor of improving the overall game. After reading responses from customers, CBE Software made the decision to remove hours of gameplay content, improving the overall experience. After reading feedback from our customers, it became clear to us that some parts of the game, mostly in the second half, I'm dying to know about that second half now, were not enjoyed as we had expected them to be. We took a long, hard look at the game and asked ourselves how we could make it better. While it is very important for us to remain true to our vision of the game, we felt that if there were ways we could make improvements without compromise, we should do this even if it means sacrificing months of hard work. Jan Kavan, CBE Software co-founder. Crazy.
So wait, was it like objectionable or just boring and bad?
Basically boring. It's like filler content. They're like, let's cut this stuff out.
Oops.
Wow.
And just streamline it.
I just love months of work, hours of content, therefore improving the overall experience. It's just better. You know, not even like remove guides that point you in that direction or requirements that force you to do said content. It's like, just get it out of there. It's just
Weird.
What's nuts is that they're keeping some of it in there as like hidden content. So like if you want to go play this stuff, it's there. You just got to know how to get to it.
Fascinating.
wild. You're ripping a page out of a menu at a restaurant. Like, we're not doing pasta. The pasta guy's like, hey! It's,
If you want the pasta, you got to go back there.
Yeah, go over there. Because the pasta was bad.
Ubisoft and Capcom also, this was actually from last week. Capcom is doing well, had sales data, and Ubisoft had sales data, but it's a long podcast. You can go check that stuff out on your own if you want to.
They're well.
They're doing great.
Doing good.
Yeah.
Doing great.
Ubisoft
Hold 'em in
specifically, some of the news I saw was just that, you know, a lot of their biggest games were big sellers, and they were all the games that you would expect. It's time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
Packed. Bandana Boy. While stuck at home, I've been taking the time to catch up on my backlog. The classic I'm playing now is a total Brandon Jones joint, Final Fantasy VI for the Super Nintendo. Usually I prefer to play games with little to no outside assistance for walkthroughs, videos, etc. This was submitted last week. If you talk about Final Fantasy VI, it's not going to guarantee that you get in that podcast. Maybe eventually, though.
High chance.
High chance. Usually I prefer to play games with little to no outside assistance for walkthroughs, videos, etc., but Final Fantasy VI has a reputation for being an incredibly dense game, with an iconic story and character moments that are easily skipped if specific, sometimes vague actions aren't taken. I decided to use a guide. However, I didn't just use IGN or GameFAQs to get me through my quest, not a slight to those sites. I downloaded a PDF of the original player's guide, which launched with the game in 1994, and it has been almost as much of a joy to read as the game has been to play. Shout out to the author Peter Olofsson, I think I have this, for being informative, funny, and leaving room for exploration. The book is also filled with colorful Amano art I've never seen before. With the help of this guide, I'm able to relax without missing parts of the games I might not have found until a second or third playthrough, and enjoy discovering the world at my own pace. Is this FOMO, or do you miss detailed, art-filled storytelling player's guides as much as I do? They are spoilery. I do have friends that like swear by them, that are like, no, if I'm playing a big RPG, I'm literally page by page. It's like, that's kind of oddly spoilery. I don't know.
The one I had as a kid was Suikoden, because I wanted to get all 108 stars, you know, and I loved that book.
Yeah, I think the thing that you really miss from like strategy guides of the day is now, you know, there's like a cold efficiency to everything, where it's like, okay, I need to look this thing up. The internet's just going to spit out the answer, whereas like, you know, you get a strategy guide, they might have like interviews in there and art that you could scroll through and just like fun descriptions of things, and so it was like a whole package of stuff, not just cold answers, man.
Not to mention that it's a book, you know.
And
I'm playing through Dark Souls 2 right now again for whatever reason, and
Huber got
Huber got me. I get a similar experience of paging through a book and seeing something else and being like, oh, what is that? I gotta get to that. On the like Fextra Life wiki, if I'm looking up like, where's that dull ember again, or like, because it's Scholar of the First Sin, everything's moved around, so it's like, what's going on? But then you see like some weird other name, and you're like, well, oh, what? And then you go down like a rabbit hole. I love it.
Yeah, I actually just bought the Breath of the Wild strategy guide.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, next time I play that game, I'm gonna have the actual book and go through and get all those damn Korok seeds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really gone through it, but I have the Bloodborne one that's like hardcover.
Yeah, me
that's
too.
really nice.
It's a good one.
Bloodworth. The art one or the walkthrough one?
it's a strategy guide, but it's
Oh,
like
cool.
I said, it's hardbound. It's really like nice. It's like an encyclopedia almost.
I guess
wanna
there's
look
just
at
some games going in, like I'm going to 100% this because I guess you would have to know the franchise. You'd have to know it's a sequel to something you're familiar with. Because what was the Sea and Stars or the Starry Sea? What was the RPG that was just announced?
I want to say Sea of Stars.
And yeah, that would be, I don't know if that's a game necessarily if like I don't know anything about the story or this world to potentially be spoiled by that stuff. But I find though a lot of times if I'm playing an RPG and I get stuck at one point like 70% through the game, it's a little scary and kind of tricky to find that point in any guide, whether it's a GameFAQs thing or on some site. It's like, am I going to go too far and get spoiled? Am I going to go too far back and maybe miss things? Even like doing video walkthroughs, I'm like, whoa, this person went a totally different direction. I don't even know where they're at in the game right now. So
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was using GameFAQs guides for our Trials of Mana playthrough when we did the original, the Super NES version. And like, that's a game where I would say it's pretty close to being required. It's just
Sure, yeah.
there's some hard stuff to understand and figure out in that game that can be pretty obscure. And then it just kind of like opened my eyes to like just how in-depth that class system is. So just really like looking and trying to figure out like, oh, well, what class do I want to try out with this character? And like you just see like all of these different opinions on how those things play out, and and at the same time realizing that like these people have played this game like 30 times. Like how the heck?
Sounds like you can't lose.
Yeah, playing with a guide could be fun sometimes. Don't sweat it.
Play how you
sweat
wanna
it.
play.
Let's play a game. I'm going to play this game how I want to play. Joe Maggs, being stuck inside has given me a lot more time to game and read, and that's also led to perusing online book and game retailers more often. This has led me to a revelation. Many things have similar titles. So here's the game. It's simple. I've listed 12 titles below, and you have to guess if this is the title of a game available to purchase on PSN or a romance novel on Amazon. In the sake of fairness,
What a good
I
game.
didn't include the titles of any dating sims on this list. Hope you enjoy it. Love and respect always. Joe from Jersey.
Yeah.
Good game, Joe from Jersey.
Yeah.
That's
Joe
funny.
from Jersey.
Some of these, we got blood on, so you're listening to know some of these. What the Wind Knows. What the
Romance
Wind
novel.
Knows.
Romance novel.
Yeah, that sounds like a
Seems
book.
like a romance novel, but yeah, I don't know it.
That's a novel. Where is my heart?
game.
That is a game, yeah.
Oh!
That is a game.
Ben knows
Well,
it. Ben's
okay.
played this.
Pretty
I've
sharp,
seen
pretty
it.
sharp.
Yeah.
I just know it's a game. I don't think I've played it. Maybe.
No,
I
you
have.
know it, Ben.
All right.
You own it. You
I
bought
made it. I made it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I capture the castle.
Book.
I capture the castle?
I capture the castle.
That's a book. The castle is a lady.
It
Game?
sounds like a game, but maybe that's the
I don't know.
trick.
Yeah.
I makes me think of book.
Okay, book. Yeah. All right. Final answer, book.
Y'all are doing pretty good. It's a book. Flowers are dead.
Both.
That sounds like a game. I feel like I've heard of that.
I'm gonna say book.
Yeah, I'll say book too.
I'll say game.
That's a game.
Flowers are dead.
Where the bees make honey.
That's
Oh,
a
I
game.
played that. That's a
I
cool
know
game.
you did. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a game.
They got you. Solo, Islands of the Heart.
Book.
It's like the Star Wars sequel we never knew. It's like I didn't know.
Also going to say book.
I'm gonna say book.
Yeah, I guess book.
Finally got you. PSN, baby.
Damn.
Solo, Islands of the Heart. Because that sounds like a franchise, you know? That sounds
Yeah.
like they really want to make a Solo too. Exile's End.
That's a game.
That could be both.
Sounds like a game. Yeah.
The Authority
It's-
from Bloodworth.
It sounds like a game. It does sound like a game.
Are you sure, Blood?
What romance novel
I'm
is
sure.
Exile's End?
I'm pretty sure.
Ah,
I
you're
feel like
right.
I've.
You're
I got
right.
emails
Don't
on
look it up. You're right.
that.
Where the Forest Meets the Stars.
Book?
This also sounds familiar, but
yeah,
Sounds like
this
a
does
game.
this does sound familiar. I'm gonna say game.
Yeah, it's a bug.
Yeah.
The brain's
I didn't
playing
get the answer. But
something.
okay.
A room where art conceals. A room where art conceals.
A French film.
Book.
Book?
Book.
Yeah, that's PSN.
Damn
Wow.
I hope it's a horror game.
it. Yeah.
I and me. I
There's that I again. I'm gonna go with book.
and me.
Book, yeah.
I
Book.
feel like it might be a game.
I and me can be purchased on the PlayStation
Woo.
Store.
What kind of game is it?
Shadow Flight.
Book.
Game.
Game?
Book.
It's tricky, yeah, because it's a book. You know, the shadows, the flight in there. You think
Yeah,
You
it's
start-
too,
Flight Simulator.
you
it's
can
too
you can-
obviously a game
You can
name,
hear the
so it's
feathers
gonna-
rustling, and finally, Alpha's blood.
That's a werewolf sex book for sure.
Book, yeah, 100%.
One can hope. Can
Not
can
specifically romance, but
I don't know if I
werewolf
can
sex
move on
book.
from this game without knowing. Because Lord knows there are not enough books out there with werewolves having sex. Logan Tawes. Recently, I felt like a genius. And let me tell you why. A few months ago, I bought a PS1 at a thrift store, and when I brought it home, it wouldn't power on. I took the L because it was cheap, but kept it just in case. A few weeks later, I bought another PS1 and it powered on, but the sound chip was completely messed up. While fiddling with both PS1s a few days ago, I noticed the first one was actually a PAL PS1, and that's why it wouldn't turn on. So I put the motherboard from the PAL PS1 into the NTSC PS1 that could turn on, and lo and behold, it works perfectly now. Didn't use a how-to guide to figure this out, and it felt pretty good. Have you ever had an I'm a genius moment like this? Could be a while fixing a console like I was, or even just in a really tough puzzle in a game. Love and respect, Logan Tawes. Blood, you're the closest thing we have to a genius. Any moments
No.
of revelation
Oh.
like this? I got nothing.
Yeah.
I've
not at that
definitely done
level.
a couple of these repair type things. Because I did fix the GameCube fan at one point. I figured out like what the fan was and popped it open and swapped the fan. Although now I've got another issue that I'd probably send it in for. And then, but probably the one that like more speaks to me a little bit is when I'd first moved out to LA. One of my friends mailed me a cassette fan sub of like I think it was one of the Evangelion movies, and he didn't pack it well, so like cassette got smashed in the mail. But I was able to like get one of my roommates and like which one of these like home video tapes do you not need anymore? And then I unscrewed it and I like transferred the reels from one VHS to the other VHS, and then I was able to watch
That's pretty cool.
That's
some anime.
awesome. I have an intuitive understanding of all things, so I feel like that all the time. But today I had the opposite of this when I felt really dumb because I'm reorganizing my room and I was moving my 3-tiered synth rack, and I didn't bother taking the modular synths off the top of it, and they fell on me. And it really hurt.
Oh no.
And hopefully nothing is broken, everything powered on.
They as in several, all at once.
Yeah, one of the cases hit me and a board hit me. The other case hit the ground. So I was pretty stressed out
Damn.
about it. So I didn't feel like a genius then.
Isn't it Naked Gun where he's trying to like saw the rope tied around his hands and like the bowling ball and everything rolls off the top and like knocks out
Oh, yeah.
the guy in the corner. He gets like tarred and feathered. Oh, Naked Gun. Yeah, I'm lucky at this point if I can get the snaps lined up on like Milo's pajamas. Like then I'm just like, yeah, like first attempt. Yeah, genius is. I feel bad. Brad's not jumping. Ben's not jumping.
Well, when you talk about Milo, I have a little niece and nephew, so I can relate, Jones.
Any victory,
They're squirmy, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Anytime I can walk out of his room after I put him to down for a nap and he actually goes to bed, it's just like it's like Rocky. I did it.
anytime I solve tech problems for my family, they treat me like a genius, but I'm
True,
not
yeah.
actually doing genius level work.
It's
But
kind of
they're
dangerous,
amazed.
yeah. You don't want to fix things well for them, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to be
yeah.
the one that's
Yeah.
known.
No, it's too late for that.
Yeah.
I have utmost respect for like people who can calmly and clearly explain technical things, because to me it's the most annoying thing to try to like ratchet back something that I just know how to do
Right.
like intuitively and like break it down into steps that are simple enough for someone who has no clue to follow.
Right.
It's like not something I'm good at.
That reminds me, Ian, I have some Premiere questions to ask you after we're done recording.
The new one's got hardcore hardware encoding, baby.
The setting didn't show up.
Hardcore
for me.
encoding.
It was grayed out when I went to go test it. So I don't know if I haven't updated it.
Are you on 14.2? Does your thing delete old versions?
No, does it really? Is that the new fun glitch with the new update, or is that
No.
Is it supposed to do that?
If you don't, if you tell it to keep old versions and use your old shortcuts, there's a good chance you're just opening an old Premiere and the new Premiere is sitting unused on your computer.
That's Adobe fun tip right there.
Yeah.
Adobe fun
Found
tip.
that out like 2 years late.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that to
But
actually be a thing. Ben,
14.2 is the one with hardware encoding.
you were going to say something, sir.
He said it.
Did you?
I don't know.
Fixing tech stuff.
Well, yeah.
Family members.
Yeah, I mean, like, there have been moments in games where I figured something out and felt good, but nothing is really popping out as distinct, like the Blood Wars story.
The opposite of feeling good. L&R, I have a wonderful friend problem. You'll likely know what friend I'm talking about before I get too far, but here's my predicament. My buddy from college loves games and hasn't stopped loving them despite getting married, having a kid, and living in a household where he is the sole game enthusiast. But maybe because of this, he is constantly reaching out to our circle of friends and convincing us to buy the newest game he's stoked to play. I stood in line for hours for the midnight release of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and got drive-by berated by Halo boys when I hadn't yet played a single moment in either series for his friend. Did this again for Halo 4, ironically. But then, and here's the crux, he loses interest and patience for the game within a week, and we're left holding our controllers and Mountain Dew cap codes, knowing he's going to come calling again. He's just so gosh darn charismatic, we jump in every time. We don't mind, we're getting to play great games because of him, but we lose so quickly and our wallets are weeping in loss. What do we do? How do we tell our friend that he is a gaming dasher? Many thanks amidst love and respect. Marv, aka L&R. Is this something, should they just roll with it, or is this something that needs to be addressed? This is Huber, obviously, right? I mean, I'm glad Huber's not on. But like Brad, you've dealt with this with Huber, right?
I just say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
Right.
put him.
Yeah, I'm like, nah.
You have an intervention.
I feel like I fall into both camps where, like, I'm very easy to convince to get something. Like, you can hype me up to get something pretty easily, and then I'm also hyping other people up to get stuff as well. So.
Can confirm, I love hyping Ben up about stuff to get stuff.
Oh, good story. Good segue. Okay, so one time Brad and Huber and I went to this game store in LA, and I saw some things that I wanted, and Brad, without missing a beat, no hesitation, was just like, oh, just buy them. I'll just get it. And within in the span of like 5 minutes, I spent $100.
Yeah, he's like, oh, these are so cool. I want these. I was like, just get them, dude.
Yeah.
Just buy
It
them.
just felt like I had like this little devil on my
And
shoulder.
you're like, yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
All right.
Yeah.
Was spend Ben's money? Was that at Easy A or was that a Game Trailer?
That was Game Trailer.
That's Game Trailer.
Oh yeah, that was thanks for playing.
Or we just follow you around. Well, no, but specific, like a series. You know what I mean? Like one of us just goes to any store. It can be anything. It can be ramen. It can be
Oh yeah.
like all sorts of different things.
And you
How
win
much
if you
money?
get Ben to spend money.
Yeah, you're just there in the
Everybody
corner.
wins.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's time for bets, and not everybody can win. Only one of us can win. But we don't know who's going to win next week. Next week's bet, Minecraft Dungeons. Minecraft Dungeness Crabs.
Dungeness crabs.
Minecraft Dungeons launches on May 26th. I'm going to look at the last 10 reviews on opencritic.com. How many times will I see the word block or blocks? Single or multiples of the blocks there. Ian.
Multiple.
Multiple.
I wrote 16. You can't see it. It's blown out.
Damn it, Ian.
Oh,
But I believe you.
if I shade it. There we go.
Yay!
16 blocks.
I still can't see anything, but sure.
Brad,
What?
I could
I
see
can
that
see
there
it.
is writing.
There, see?
Okay, there we go. Brad, what's it going to be?
10.
10? Okay.
1 per review.
Ben? Oh, all right.
I also wrote. Oh, you can't see it. I also wrote 16.
Mr.
That's
Bloodworth.
bad for us.
Yeah,
oh,
that's
right.
bad.
I put 31.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay. So if there's 16, I'm 13, so I'm just a little bit below
So
theirs.
we gotta.
But Brad's at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say
Oh, yeah.
cubes or something else.
Let me lock those in. I didn't lock them in last week.
Oh,
didn't?
Shoot,
I didn't.
dude.
I thought you did.
It didn't. Boy, that sucks.
The number of times that I've forgotten to prompt guests to break out of the frame trap must be in the hundreds at this point, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, I don't know. Just having a perfect record just felt really good.
That's
And then
running
Bullet,
wild
like,
already. It's
Yeah.
only been a couple weeks.
Damn.
And it was
getting
social
slammed.
with social distancing, like it was a whole.
Are the bets social distancing?
No, I couldn't, but I had to,
Oh yeah, right. I forgot to do my bets effects.
Oh, jeez. Last week's bet. The Wonderful 101 Remastered launched on 5/13. How long are the end credits? I bet 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Daniel Bloodworth bet 8 minutes and 43. Ian bet 7 minutes and 30. Michael Damiani bet 5 minutes even. Brad Ellis bet 3 minutes even. Ben, you're a big fan of The Wonderful 101.
Mm-hmm.
And just, Platinum in general. How long, any guesses there on how long the end credits are to The Wonderful 101 Remastered?
Total guess, 7 minutes.
7 minutes, just underneath Bloodworth's bet at 8 minutes 43 seconds, which is the closest to 9 minutes 58 seconds. And there were a lot of people in the comments that were like, I know this right away. I haven't even played Wonderful 101 or Remastered, but they're like, platinum credits are huge, man. They're like, they do.
Wait, Blood had the longest? Blood had the high
longest.
bet?
What was the
Oh,
actual
man.
time? It was 9 minutes?
9 minutes 58, and Blood
Okay.
had 8 minutes. This next second was Ian with 7:30.
Oh, I thought I had the high bet on this one. Dang.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Dang.
But yeah, apparently they're all long and elaborate, and we should have known.
Dude, I haven't played a platinum game forever.
But this was fun. Yeah, we learn these things, especially within credits, and sometimes with trailers you can predict depending on what company is making them. But you never really know. One thing that I know is that our scores for right now are Jovial Penguins 0.
What is her What is her thing?
Just make bird-like noises.
Jovial Penguins 0.
We just did it.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well, I didn't know. Astonished Scorpions 3. Way to go, Blood.
We gotta get a
3-0.
better. We gotta get a better sound. That
Yeah, we
this
got-
is too good.
Yeah,
Who picked this animal?
I did.
Then you gotta come up with it.
We should all in unison, really cheerfully say, "It could be worse. My nose could be gushing blood." Every time at the same time.
Or
It'd be
one of you could say it.
perfect.
Because some of you could do sound effects. See, that's the thing. If there's 3 of you, you can do multiple layers of sound effects and music. There's lots of stuff. So Blood and I aren't doing the same thing, like we're, just suggestions. I mean, you guys can
I
do
mean-
what you want to
No,
You're
I ain't,
winning, so-
I ain't taking it.
do. We're winning for now. Let me tell you about patreon.com/Easy Allies. First of all, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. If you would like to know more about Easy Allies, you can go to patreon.com/Easy Allies. If you would like to support the Easy Allies, you can go to patreon.com/Easy Allies. For a monetary reward of just $5 or above, you get this podcast early, and you get to be involved in Love and Respect, which we just handled, and Gaming Gladiators, which was our weekly bit at the beginning of the episode. And you can just be a part of Easy Allies in this podcast in fun ways. You can also be a part. Somebody's snickering. What?
I think you said monetary reward, which I guess is a reward for us.
Yeah.
Reward us.
A
with your
reward
money.
involving money, right? It's right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how you word that?
I mean, I feel like it's a reward.
I wonder if I should script this because Kyle was really pushing near the end. He was just like, let me say Patreon. It was just some
Yeah.
way that he could word it that he hadn't worded
Kyle
it literally
had senioritis for 2
hundreds
years.
of times
Yeah.
before. So some of these things I might script and some of this stuff I might wing it. But
You know
of
what I was
course-
just thinking? You know what we should do? We should move the bet results to after this, to dangle a carrot to keep people listening.
Oh, they don't like to listen to.
Well,
about
I don't know.
patreon.com/Easy
You never know. I
Allies.
assume they listen to everything, but
We got other rewards, and we talk about the Blood Pact. We can talk about other things, but we got everything.
I would bail.
We can talk about reaction shots. All
All right,
right.
been gone already.
What we do have to talk about, however, because they're the big wigs, they're the head honchos, the big cheeses, are shout outs. And before I'm done with these, I want cheese now. Ian, you're going first. I'm going after Ian. Blood, you're going after me. Brad, you're going after Blood, and Ben, you are last, but not least, going after Brad Ellis. That is Ian, myself, Blood, then Brad, then Ben. Shout out to Blue, Caleb Togi Crawford, L. Thanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, and Jesse Blue.
shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
That was good.
Blood, You done won that bet. You're up 2 on to my 1 point to our collective 3. Well done.
Yeah, it's a surprise.
I am very satisfied with the results this week. You get to promote any Easy Allies video you'd like to promote. You get the final word on anything you've disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped into your head, and you get to sign off with your trademark sign-off. Anything you want to share with the class, Ian? I'm sorry, you got a whisper there? Were you...
I was quoting the movie Clue to myself. I'm sorry.
Ian, if you're ever quoting Clue, excuse me, Bloodworth, I'll give you a second. If you're
I
ever
was
quoting
going-
Clue, you
I
need
was
to do it
going-
loud and proud.
Okay, yeah, I was doing the 1 + 1 +
Plus 2 plus 1
2
plus
+
2
1.
is... Bloodworth, take it away.
So a video I would like to promote, Brandon will not even start working on until this podcast is over. But my Trials of Mana review, which is a month late. It's a full month late. But anyway,
I'm also
going
going to take
find time to play video
I'm also
games.
going to take a month to cut it, Blood. Just FYI.
Oh no. But yeah, I've been working on that. Had some fun times with it. Interesting things to say. Hopefully, interesting things. And then final word. I don't know. I guess I'll just piggyback slightly on with the Patreon stuff. Definitely want to thank everybody who's been hanging with it through all of this crisis and pandemic. You know, we've seen so many people who have had to, bail out for, losing job, losing work one way or another. And so thank you to everyone who has been able to continue on, who has been raising pledges and all of those kinds of things. And, definitely appreciate all of that. And we will see you before the next Blood Moon Rises. The crotch is blurred out, but I imagine it would not be hard to mod to take the little pixel thing away.
Yeah, oh yeah.